Good evening is Gray Matter. Once again, another fucking political video. We're dealing with, Zelenskyy, Ukraine, and Russia. I'm just gonna be blunt here. All right. Part of me believes, and don't quote me on this. This is not any nobody in the news is pointing this out, but part of me feels like Zelenskyy is a deep state plant that was placed there for essentially what he's doing now. I know that World War III has been a plan. It was a plan for the fucking longest. This man, or at least I know Biden, has a lot of connection to Ukraine. He's done a lot of money laundering and other treasonous acts in Ukraine. And I also know that the U.S. aid has been used to fund this man's campaign. His polling was at 57%. Come to find out that the people who did the polling were funded by U.S. taxpayer dollars. Shit doesn't sound right. And then you add in the fact that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden had connections to Ukraine. And then you know that there's biolabs that are out in Ukraine. It leads me to understand why Russia went down there and did what the fuck that they did. Wars aren't started over nothing. I'm just going to be blunt here. Then we had this same man who has these connections, who's been getting these billions of dollars in aid from the U.S. when we were being led, and I say that with massive air quotes, by Biden. U.S. military equipment, all this fucking money, still got your ass kicked by Russia. And now you're in the Oval Office making demands and being very disrespectful. He even called J.D. Vance a bitch under his breath. He said suka, which in Russia or in Russian language means bitch. But I'm not going to focus on that. Yeah, that's part of the disrespect, but let's look at the grand scheme of things, because it's ironic how a man in such dire straits is still threatening to continue the war, still wants to continue the war. He still wants to fight, even though he's low on manpower and he's got his back against the wall. Let's look at this mineral deal that should have happened but didn't happen.
Going to go to our latest news now from the White House, where President Trump has met with Ukraine's President Zelenskyy. Let's listen in.
With both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred, and I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way, so that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden, of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2014.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was,
he killed,
I was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly
but-
right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering all these
position to
questions.
dictate that.
That's exactly
Remember
what
this.
you're doing.
I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very
You will
good.
feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War
do you-
III.
what do you
You're
think about-
gambling with
what do you
World
think
War
about-
III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country. This.
I could go on and on about just how disrespectful this shit is, but I'm not finna talk about that. The dude turned down the mineral deal, and he essentially doomed his country, his own country. He wants to continue fighting against a superpower without the resources necessary to even be able to take this superpower out. All for pride, when he could have just taken the mineral deal. Had he taken that mineral deal, we would have had American companies mining minerals in the Ukraine, which would have prevented Russia from attacking Ukraine because of the risk of hitting American companies, which would have been an act of war, would have triggered NATO and caused World War III, had Russia continued to fight with American companies on Ukrainian soil. It's just that simple. Zelensky turned it down, so he's on his own. It is what it is. I don't feel sorry. We have people siding with Zelensky. We have people trying to support Ukraine in their endeavors, when really this man is a terrible leader, and he's very terrible when it comes to negotiation. On top of that, he's running out of manpower. JD Vance even told him, like, straight up, just take the deal. You don't have the resources. He did not want to do that. It's just that simple. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I know there is a Fox interview. He does not apologize at all. And he essentially doubled down on the fact that he wants to fight back and continue the war, essentially. He's mad that Putin was on his soil. Well, not Putin himself, but Russian troops. Which, I mean, I guess. But let's just be blunt here. He doesn't have any options. But it is what it is. I'm done talking about this.